Ladies and gentlemen, what we have witnessed this week is Baseball on Mars, with man-devouring roaches, of course. So this week's episode of Terror from Mars is one of the first ones in a while where we actually once again get some plot progression and some story development overall, because it's been a while of us just getting like, oh, this is this character's backstory and why he's fighting these roaches right now. But this one actually goes back into the plot and kind of like the mystery of why things went south when they started their mission and everything. So I'm glad that it actually got back to that. It's a real shame that it took this long for us to get back to ultimately, progressing the story and whatnot, because for a long time, again, it's just been like flashbacks and everything, and that's just them trying to squeeze all of these characters and everything into 12 or 13 episodes and not letting the story flow. Because I was thinking to myself, like, there's a couple different scenes that kind of got cut off, like whatever happened to that bar scene where the dude was talking to the other dude in the bar and everything. Like, a lot of things just kind of started rushing and everything, and again, giving us more about characters than the actual story. But I gotta say one thing, this was probably the best looking episode of Terror from Mars thus far. No, this was in fact the best looking. The way they used the fire to make the actual characters look different in the lighting, it just looked great. Like, the actual art of this episode looked absolutely great. The art and animation period in this episode was just really fucking substantial. And as far as the plot development goes, for starters, they actually got to the pyramids and they got to explore a little bit and get to an understanding that why the fuck aren't the roaches actually attacking. So that also got to make you wonder, okay, we know the level of intelligence at this particular point with the roaches. The roaches are beyond smart, but a lot of the things that was happening in this episode with them setting up traps and bombs going off and everything, and with them kind of figuring out, the humans, that actually they've been betrayed, what country would do something like that? Like, a lot of the people that we already know have been killed off, like Adolf's group, the Chinese group, a couple different groups are already pretty much done. So who could possibly be the traitor at this point, setting up, a plot point? And it's a shame that we literally have one episode to basically either uncover who's the traitor and face them, or figure something out, because I don't see Terror from Mars getting a second season. I think, in all honesty, it should have had 24 episodes to begin with, possibly even 26. But yeah, as far as like getting a continuation after episode 13, is probably not going to happen. So with all this development we got in this episode, getting to the pyramids, noticing that the Terror from Mars seemingly don't give a fuck about the pyramids, so there's probably not anything of interest or value there. We're going to probably have a lot of unanswered questions, or just barely get some answers and have the full explanation at the end of next week's episode. And it was a nice treat to get a little bit of Shokichi's backstory and find out a little more about Bugs 2. Personally, I'd say go check out the OVAs, because I personally, even though it was very quick paced and everything, it was very fast paced, ultimately I say the OVAs do a better job at telling the story and kind of giving you a graphic demonstration of everything that went down with the roaches and Bugs 2. But getting little glimpses of it again, kind of him just beating the living fuck out of a yeti seemingly of that roach and everything. It was really fucking like, a nice scene as far as action pieces go, because it was just like, he is angry, he hates these beasts, and to see the progression of him, because back on Bugs 2, when, all that shit went down back then, he was alright fighter, but he wasn't like what he is now. Like, you can see he has progressed a lot over these 20 years that he's had to think about what happened. And one of the things that they definitely showcase is the level of fear and just insanity that is becoming of these people, when that one bitch was like, no, I'm not getting squashed and my head ripped off by these motherfuckers, and jumped in the fire. I was thinking to myself, like, that is how much of, that's a great showcase, for that matter, of how terrifying these roaches truly are. Like, the girl was like, no, fuck that shit. It's either death by their hands or death by my own hands, and I'm going by my own hands. And then Marcos' baseball battle that he had was pretty epic as well, with the medicine wearing off and everything. So a lot of this episode definitely getting some awesome action pieces, getting some story progression, even though there's only one episode to basically settle some of that. But ultimately, for the most part, this episode, very good episode. I'm glad, again, that we're at least going to cover some of the story and see some of the things that actually happened, and kind of getting a little glimpses. But in all honesty, I would honestly say that this anime is a really pretty looking trailer for the manga, because it just leaves out a lot of context. And again, it's like, if you think about it, how much story progression have we really had since we actually landed on the, actual Mars and everything? We're just now seeing that, oh shit, there's a traitor and they set up traps for us, what's going on? And it seems as though the anime wanted to focus more so on being character driven, getting these interesting characters that have these fucked up backstories, more so than progressing the plot. Up until this episode anyway. But the cliffhanger at the end of this episode was definitely setting up for what will probably be a very action-packed and very awesome-looking finale. I mean, you got Akari there. He's like, let's go. Let's see who's the true vermin. Almost as if it's going to wrap up the entirety of the story right there with Akari and Michelle and everything. And if they do an anime-only ending regarding, like, the ending of next week's episode, that's going to really suck. Like, if they just kill off everybody. Fuck it. Everyone died. died at the hands of the roaches. That would be terrible. Hopefully, at the very least, they leave it with a possibility for a season 2 if they ever do decide to do something, which again, I'm doubtful, but you never know. So yeah, 7.5 to 8 for this episode. Probably 8 because this is one of the best story-driven episodes and kind of getting progression overall with what's going on. Let me know what you guys think though. Who do you think is the traitor amongst them of all the countries? Also, what do you think about kind of how the story progression just now is once again coming into play and it took a while? Do you think that this anime, you can just look at it as a nice shiny trailer, or what's up? Because to be honest with you, that's what I'm looking at it as. I'm personally just a lot more invested into the manga. I've been reading up on it, you know, I got some of the volumes I've been collecting and everything, and it's just like, the manga's much better. It's like, the anime's pretty and gorgeous and I love seeing that emotion, but that's about it. And what do you think about Marcos' ass-kicking action in this episode? I was like, god damn, we got the fucking Yankees and the Mets up in this bitch. And overall thoughts of the episode. Kick-ass episode yet again, and some good plot progression, but sadly only one episode to actually go anywhere with it. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you could do so as well, that'd be awesome. I'm Finub World, and as always, people, have an awesome day.